Tahir, your next outing titled Ranjish Hi Sahi, which is set in the 70s Bollywood, and you play a film director named Shankar, who, after becoming successful, have an extramarital affair with one of the leading ladies of his film. Now, this is what it looks to us from the trailer. What more can you tell us about this series?
Yes, I think you've got the one line of the show right, but a little more detail. What attracted me to the part was how layered and complex Shankar, the character, is. He's an aspiring director in the beginning of the series. Three of his films have flopped, and he wants to make the perfect film, a big, successful film that people enjoy. But the conflict in his life is that he doesn't have a good script. In finding this good script, he knocks on a lot of doors and goes down a lot of paths. And on one of these paths, he meets a superstar of the era whose name is Amna Parvez, played by Amla Paul. And she is instantly attracted to his creative passion, and it is reciprocated. The problem in his life is not the problem, the conflict is that he has a wife who he also loves. And it's that entanglement between the duty of the love towards the wife and the desire for the diva that creates the problem in Shankar's life. But it is overcoming this problem in which he discovers who he is as an artist, and he finds that one perfect story that he's trying to tell. So personally, for me, when I heard this script, it was a real challenge to play an aspiring artist going through this cathartic experience.
So you're saying it's the character that attracted you, not the temptation to work on a series that is created by Mahesh Bhatt.
It was a mix of all of that. It was the fact that it was created by Mahesh Bhatt. He is an institution in himself. He comes with 3 decades of experience in romantic dramas. And coincidentally, I have never done romance before on screen. Whenever I have done characters, they have been like Mardani, where it is shown like a solo character, or like a Derek in Chhichhore, who's shown as the hostel stud. So for me, was an opportunity to have chemistry with not one, but 2 very talented actresses.
The series is created by Mahesh Bhatt. How different will this be compared to Mahesh Bhatt's previous works like Earth, Fir Teri Kahani Yaad Aayi, which also explored the similar themes where a married filmmaker was in relationship with an actress?
You're absolutely right. A love triangle as a theme is not new, either to Bhatt Saab, to Bollywood, or to world cinema. What's exciting about this, I feel, is that every generation has its own retelling of the same story. And over here, we have the advantage of OTT. When a story is told over a longer timeline, it gives both the director and the actor an opportunity to look at a character in more detail and to look at the story from different perspectives. So while my character is the narrator of the show, he is the protagonist, but there will be moments when you will see the female perspective. You will see what Anju, his wife, played by Amrita Puri, goes through. You will see Amna Parvez's, the diva's perspective. And I think for today's younger audience, getting that panoramic idea of the 360 view of the story is what engages them more. They want to know how did the woman feel? How did she react? And that was great as an actor to collaborate with that kind of thought.
You said it gives you a 360-degree view of the characters and their lives. Mahesh Bhatt also had this relationship with Parveen Babi. Do you think this series will explore that part of Mahesh Bhatt's life where he was in relationship with Parveen Babi? And we'll see also Parveen Babi side of the story as well.
I'm glad you asked that question, because through your interview, I'd like to tell viewers that it is not a biopic that we're trying to do. So I am not playing Mahesh Bhatt because my look, my feel, even the mannerisms are not at all like Bhatt Saab. I would say 50% of the show would be inspired by incidents of his life, and 50% is a work of fiction. So it is a work of fiction inspired by true incidents. And yes, the fact that he had lived through the 70s as a director does have a large influence on certain aspects of the script.
So that means it has that bit where we'll see Parveen Babi also in one of the characters, or maybe Amna.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay. And Tahir, when you choose a role that you're gonna play in a series or in a movie, is there a soul connection you have between you and the character you're gonna play?
Definitely. Maybe that connection might not happen instantly. At first, you just choose it as an actor because you think it is a great part to play. But as you're discovering the part, there is that one connection that you make, and it always remains with you. In this case, for Shankar, he is an artist who wants to create a box office hit, a success that is seen by the audience. And as the actor Tahir, I really relate to that. And it's one thing that the pandemic over the past 2 years has taught me, I always used to think that I was the kind of actor who enjoyed the process of acting so much that my job starts and begins and ends on set. But I realize now that for the work to reach the audience, to entertain the audience, to get their critique, to get their feedback, is also such an important part of the journey.
This character that you play in Ranjish Hi Sahi, Shankar, this is it's a love triangle. It has layers. It has matters of love and relationships. How much time did you spend with yourself while preparing for this role, Tahir?
I spent about 3 months because it is important when you're playing a part like this never to judge your character. What I feel about it as Tahir is irrelevant. I have to look at it from the truth that Shankar comes from. So that was understanding the psychology. There were a lot of workshops and conversations with Bhatt Saab. There was also physicality. I had to gain about 8 or 9 kilos because the character is older than what I am. And of course, because it's a period drama, there is the prosthetics of wearing a hair extension, getting the hairstyle right, the costumes, the cars, the look, all of that, of course, adds to the character.
But you never did some soul searching, like, becoming Shankar, maybe in your head while working on the series?
That's a great question. I think because there are certain templates of preparing for a role, you start off in that template. It's almost like how a sportsman will get into warm-up exercises before he gets on the pitch or goes into the gym. So you go through those almost theoretical warm-ups as an actor of physicality, mindset, getting to know the lines, understanding the script. And that soul searching actually happens while you're on the journey. It's like you're going on a road trip, your destination, you have the map. And while you're driving, you sometimes look out of the window and you see a beautiful scenery and you take that in. So that is the soul searching that happens. And I had many such incidences. One definitely was, there's a moment in the series where there is a flash forward where you cut to the older Shankar after he has become successful. And in doing that scene, the makeup was also where you're made to look slightly older, about 55, 60 years old. And so suddenly 1 second I was playing a 30-year-old, and within half an hour when I looked into the mirror, I had become a 60-year-old. And it just, like, poetically, it makes you realize that time is just in a blink of an eye. Like, what you have today is really important and really valuable.
Tahir, actors go to any length to get that perfect look. And especially today, because the series, of course, will be seen across the world. What's your take on that, and how far can you go to get that perfect look? Maybe, like, you never thought of growing hairs instead of having going for a wig?
Definitely there are things that you do to go the perfect extent. Unfortunately, you're also tied down by the fact that if you were to wait for 3 months, 4 months in order to get the perfect hair length, time is crucial. Timelines for when to shoot a project, when to get on to the next project. So you do whatever you can within those timelines. So gaining weight is something that I could have easily done, and it is something that I did do. And there are a lot of other things which are like the walk of the character, which is something that you see even in the trailer. There's a back shot of him walking. Then there's a reason for that is justified within the series of why he walks like that. And it's interesting to create. And I like to believe that I definitely am an actor who would want to go the extra mile to get into the spirit of the character you're playing.
Because Ranjish Hi Sahi is set in the film world, are there surprises that audience will discover in terms of maybe cameos by other actors?
There are no actors who are playing themselves, but there are definitely references to actors from back in the day, which will be the sort of Easter eggs for the audience to discover.
And who was your inspiration to play Shankar? Did you model this character on some director or a TV show you watch and you said, okay, that's the character I want to play?
I had a number of influences. Of course, Bhatt Saab and his philosophy and the journey he has is a small part of that. A lot of what Pushpadeep told me, the director and writer, influenced that. Bachchan Saab was very big he was going through this golden era of the 70s cinema with Sholay and Diwar. watching his body language, not only in films, but in behind the scenes interviews and red carpets, that footage that we have from the day, that influenced it a whole lot. Watching Hollywood actors back in the day, the kind of style and the swag that they had. And it really is like you're a sculptor. You take the clay from everywhere and you mold a character, and that is the joy.
Tahir, you're almost becoming this go-to actor who keeps going back in time to play characters from history, be it Shyam Chada, the hero of 40s in Manto, or Sunil Gavaskar in 83, even Derek, because in Chhichhore that was also set in the past, or Shankar of Ranjish Hi Sahi. Have you now figured out why these roles in stories set in the past comes to you?
Yes, because one thing that I'm very passionate about bringing to all characters is authenticity. And I believe that when decades change, fashion changes, technology changes, but what doesn't change is human emotion. How someone will react to heartbreak in the 70s will be absolutely the same as they will in the 90s. And if you can just remember that, then everything else is just dressing.
I thought you would say my looks and my genes, like thanks to your parents.
Right. That, of course, I mean, I'm very grateful for that. It's very malleable. Like I can look like a boy from 2020 or from the 1990s.
You really become part of the history with 83. You played Sunil Gavaskar in the movie. I'm sure your phone must be flooded with congratulatory messages for your performance. The film is still in the cinema, but are you really disheartened about the film performance at the box office?
Not really, Vishal. For me, 83 is a timeless piece of cinema. Whether you watch it, we're in an unusual time at the moment because of the nature of the crisis that we're going through. Whether you watch the film 5 weeks from now or you watch it 5 months from now, it will evoke the same kind of emotion with which the film was made. It is such a special part of the sporting history of the country's history that doing 83 for me was an emotional decision. It wasn't an actor's decision. When I was approached by Kabir Khan to say, will you play Sunil Gavaskar? Normally actors take a day or two to read the script, to get back to the director. It took me 5 minutes to say, of course, I will play him. Because it is a privilege to have the opportunity to play a living legend. And that is been the biggest opportunity. And it will definitely be something very special in my filmography.
And finally, Tahir, you're like close to 8 years in this industry. Do you now have figured out your strength, and what is that you have that others don't have?
I wouldn't want to compare to others. I'm always constantly saying that my only competition is myself. My goal always is that whatever I did last year, this year I should just do a little bit better than that. And this year for me, it's a special bumper opening because I've got not one but 3 different releases. Ranjish Hi Sahi is one of them. Ye Kali Kali Aankhein is another, and Loop Lapeta is another. And in all 3 of them, coincidentally, I'm doing for the very first time romantic dramas as a genre. I have never done romance before. And it's just the opening of a new chapter. So I think the best thing about being an actor is that you can constantly discover yourself.
Tahir Bhasin, thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you so much, Vishal.